What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about how to beat any zone DB or off-man DB. So we're going to be talking about 3 tips, 3 different situations that you guys can do to beat a DB when he's in off coverage or when he's in specifically zone coverage, okay? But also, fellas, today we are having our 30-day catching program. We're having a 50% off sale today. Only get 30 days of catching drills, grip strengthening drills, hand-eye coordination drills. All you can be done without a quarterback for only $10, fellas, okay? $10 only. Check out that very first link in the description. A full month-long plan for $10. It's less than $1 a day, 50% off sale today. Check out that very first link in the description. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Let's get started. So first route we're going to be looking at here is from Elijah Moore. Now, we're going to be talking about how when this DB's kind of in this like off situation where he's about 5 yards off, it's common to see this, especially out of the slot, even when maybe you have like a kind of a bracket coverage concept where maybe this like inside linebacker is man coverage on you, then you got this safety over the top, right? Or they're just coming, they're walking down a man. Maybe it's zero, maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's a 2-man coverage, right? So how can we beat a DB who's kind of just sitting here waiting for us? Now, he's going to be running a speed out. Let's watch this thing full speed, then we'll break it down. So he gets a little hesitation, gets a little peek, and then snaps this thing off and makes that DB look foolish, right? So now, the key here is that when we attack this DB, we don't want to run away from him, right? Obviously, we want to take the outside release, but we want to square him up and we want to see how's he going to be playing this thing. If I square this DB up and let's say the DB jumps to the outside, okay, fine. Let me take the inside release. Let's work a throw by. Let's try to restack, do something, but we got to have a plan anytime we attack this DB. So you see when Moore attacks him here, he kind of gives him that little hesitation, skip, DB stays, inside shade. Okay, fine. He does a great job of changing up his tempo. Changing up your tempo is one of those things that you can use to beat a DB, especially when he's in off man. You change it up, you slow it down, you get his feet to stop, and then we go. We go from 0 to 100 because we know where we're going. The DB doesn't know where we're going, right? That's just as simple as you could get, right? So the first tip to beating an off-man DB is changing up that tempo, okay? Change up the tempo to where you lull him to sleep, and then we can burst up his second, kick it into second gear, and force this DB to turn and run with me, right? So I close the distance, I change up the tempo, and then I go. Same thing if it's maybe like a DB, let's say you're on the outside. Let's say you play outside receiver, and let's say this DB's in zone coverage, right? You're maybe running at him, you're trying to step on his toes, then maybe you give a little stutter and then you go, right? And it's just about changing up tempo, keeping the DB guessing, because especially in off man, he's reacting off you, but especially in zone, if his eyes are in the backfield looking at the quarterback, like if you're in a situation where you're an outside receiver and he's looking at that quarterback, he's going off the field. He's kind of feeling for you. He's not looking at you necessarily, right? You're attacking that front hip of his, change up the tempo, and then go, right? So that's the first tip. Don't be afraid to change up the tempo when you're going against an off-man DB or a zone DB. But again, you got to know the situation. You got to know, can I change the tempo? If you're like running a timing bang 8, right? So like a hard post, and the quarterback's getting it out on the third step, you probably don't want to change up the tempo because you got to get into the route fast, right? You can't make sure that you're not slowing down. So you see when Moore comes off of here, he gives this little peek back at the top of the route, right? That tempo change got this DB to have to overcommit. He starts stumbling. I give that little peek back, and you see how sudden he is with that break point, right? It's very important that we're going against off-man, zone coverage, whoever it is, that we got to be sudden with our breaks. I got to be clean with my breaks. So you see how he's just very sudden with that break point. Pop this thing off, and then let's accelerate out. So again, I lull him to sleep. I get him to slow down. I kick up into second gear. I get him to overcommit, and then I give that little peek back, self-fade, break this thing off. Even against zone coverage, fellas, even against off-man coverage, you guys still want to be able to sell vertical. You guys still got to be able to make this DB believe that you're just trying to run right by him. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. There's a great job by Moore here, coming off, little hesitation, give those eyes, break this thing off. That is a great route, great route. So now we're going to be looking at this situation where we're on the goal line, right? And it's off man, right? Inside shade. So what are a couple of different things that you think you should do right here? Off man, inside shade. I want to attack his leverage, right? But we got to understand that a DB on the goal line is probably not, he's coached not to back up. He's coached not to backpedal, not to let him just back you into the end zone so we can just break it off underneath him, right? So what you're going to do is you want to probably attack his leverage. You want to square him up and attack his midline because it's going to force him to kind of make a decision. Is he going to come at you and try to get hands, or is he going to sit flat and try to watch your hips? We hope that he sits flat. And if he does try to jam me, I have a plan. I got to make sure that I have a plan with my hands. But if he sits there, we hope he sits flat. So I give him a quick move and let's work to restack. So again, I attack his leverage. You see how this receiver's squaring him up. He keeps that inside shade, keeps his leverage without backing up. Fine. What you guys got to be comfortable with, especially against off-man coverage, especially against zone coverage, maybe taking an outside release on an inside breaking route, or maybe taking an inside release on an outside breaking route. You got to be able to do both. And the thing about being able to do both is you got to work all those different situations. So you see when this receiver squares him up here, right? He attacks that midline, gives him a quick little jab to the inside. We know he's not going to backpedal. We know we're probably not going to be able to just break this thing off right in front of him. So what do I need to do here in this situation? If I'm taking an outside release, this DB's taking away the inside. I don't want to force the inside release because another reason why, I'll get to this restack in a second, fellas, but the other reason we don't want to force the inside release right here is because we're on the goal line. Things are in tight, right? So if he gets hands on me and reroutes me, the spacing of the entire play gets screwed up and the windows are a lot smaller, and spacing is very important when we're down and close. So you got to be comfortable taking that outside release, being able to push up to the outside, work to restack when you're against off man, right? So now he breaks up to the outside, works this little shoulder reduced technique, so he's able to get over the top of this DB, and now what's he doing? DB's trailing his back hip because I had a plan, and now this receiver gives this little head fake to the outside, so he gives this quick little 1-2, gets that DB to jump, because again, where should he be watching? He should be watching our torso, he should be watching our hips. So if I give him that little shake with my hips, give him that little shake with my upper half, that's what's going to get him to bite, and especially when you guys take an outside release when he's inside shake, because think about what the DB's thought process is right here, right? Where is he most vulnerable, right? Even if this is from an outside receiver, he's vulnerable to this like back corner. He's vulnerable to the quick out. So he's probably going to be a little over anxious because, again, things are in tight. The ball's going to be out quick. He knows that the quarterback doesn't need that much space, especially at this level. So if we give him that little head fake to the outside, he's really going to be over anxious. We got to play to those areas where he's threatened, and he is threatened to the sideline right now. Because he's inside shade. If he's inside leverage, he is threatened to the sideline. So again, we're able to work over the top, work to restack, give that little 1-2, and then accelerate out. That's a great route here. Let's watch this thing again full speed. So the second tip to beat off man or zone coverage, right? Don't be afraid to take an outside release on an inside breaking route or an inside release on an outside breaking route. That's what we're probably going to have to do sometimes. Same thing if it's just straight up zone. Maybe you're on the outside. You got to run a dig and he's facing you here. Let's say you got to run an out route. Let's say the DB's facing the quarterback. You're here. You might want to take the inside release, get him to turn and run with you, and then you got to break it back underneath and work a throw by. Maybe work to restack, work a rocker step or work a move at the top. We just got to make sure that we have a plan. We don't need to take the perfect inside release every single time on an inside breaking route. Let's watch the thing again full speed. So attacks his leverage, gives him that one step, shoulder reduce, give that upper half shake, sell like we're going out route. That's a great route here, okay? So now we're going to be looking at this route here from Dez Bryant. So now, really inside shade, off man coverage where he's about maybe 10, like close to 10 yards off, maybe like 8 yards off, right? So what are some things that you think you can do right here? He's got to run a post route. Let's think about that. So that's how you guys should be approaching everything. He's got to run a post route. We know he's got to break back over the middle. So what should he do? What do we think that he should do? So let's watch this full speed. So he does a great job of doing the opposite. He doesn't necessarily attack his leverage. He just pushes vertical, gives that one hard cut, and catches this thing. So now DB, what does he do right off the snap of the ball? He starts to keep his leverage. He starts to weave. So where is he most vulnerable? Again, let's talk about this. Where is this DB most vulnerable? To the sideline. We want to make sure that we threaten him to the sideline and we push vertical to get him to turn those hips, because he is not going to weave forever. He's not going to weave till he hits the scoreboard and just give us 20 yards of space to work where I can just pop this thing off and run it out and make this catch, especially if we are from the outside of this thing, okay? Especially if you guys are an outside receiver. So when I come up on this thing and I burst up vertical, you see how Dez does a great job of attacking, pushing vertical, attacking forward. Now, that's going to force his DB to turn his hips, because if he makes a break to the corner and he's weaving like this and Dez makes a break to the corner, he's wide ass open. There's nobody there. There's nobody there to cover him. So Dez does a great job of selling that, pushing vertical, giving that head fake to the outside. And again, where's the DB watching? Hips. So you turn your whole entire upper half when you're selling vertical. So a great way to attack off man is to threaten him. Again, tip number 3, threaten him to where he's most vulnerable. Threaten him to the outside. If he's inside shade, threaten him to the outside. And if he's outside shade, maybe threaten him to the inside a little bit. Try to get him to overcommit. Try to get him to jump on something so I can take the outside. You got to be able to threaten him to where this DB does not want to go and to where he doesn't have space. So how we're able to do that? Again, Dez does a great job of selling vertical. Great job being sudden. We talked about that in the very first clip. I get him to turn his hips. I'm sudden. I break this thing off. And again, when we're here, you guys got to understand. When a DB is an off man, what does he like to do anytime we get to this blind spot? He likes to speed turn. So when I'm here off of this cut, I got to make sure that I pump my arms, got to make sure that I drive, I got to make sure that I accelerate so I beat this DB to the spot and I win the race, because it is a race to where this ball's coming right here, and I got to make sure that I win it by selling vertical, popping that cutoff explosive, and driving off this break. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Dez selling vertical. Great job getting this DB to turn his hips. I pop this thing off, accelerate out, and run my arms. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want a 50% off catching program, 30 days of workouts for only $10, less than $1 per day, check out that very first link in the description. Ends tonight, so make sure that you guys get your hands on that. And if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.